Welcome to 100 Yards Football. If you like the video today, please come in and share it. I surely appreciate it here on 100 Yards Football. Today, we're going to highlight Willie Davis, outstanding football player, and a gentleman that did a lot of great things after he finished his career with the Green Bay Packers, and he was a Grambling State alum. So if you like the video, please come in and share it. And I'd like to give special thanks to my producer this morning, making it happen, Mr. Jeremiah Long. Before I talk about Willie Davis, I went to an individual who's a Grambling State alum, and she can tell us all about what Willie Davis meant to Grambling State University. She's special. She's over the alumni group here in the Metro Atlanta area, and she's, as I say, might be a star in this business. Coming to us live out of Atlanta, Georgia, Mrs. Aisha Cooper. How you doing this morning?
It's good to see you. Good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you so much, Mr. Turner, for that great introduction.
Okay, as you know how we do it here on 100 Yards Football, let's jump into our subject, Mr. Willie Davis. Miss Cooper, you being a Grambling alum, and that's why I'm kind of glad that you're with us this morning. You can tell us what it is to be a Grambling alum. But Willie Davis, what was something that you find interesting about his NFL career?
You know, I find it very interesting that he almost didn't have an NFL career. He was drafted to the NFL and then drafted 2 weeks into his career to the Vietnam War. And so he was in the Army for 2 years before he came back and was able to actually to begin his football career. And so the legacy that he has left when it pertains to on the field and off the field, we almost didn't have. So I think that makes the accomplishments that he has even greater because we almost didn't have them.
And when you look at the great Willie Davis and you look at the NFL, how has the league changed or been impacted from Willie Davis?
You know, when you look at the accolades that he's received and the accomplishments and the awards, the Lifetime Achievement Award from the NFL Alumni, he's received a lot of the accolades due to his service in the community. He was very service-oriented. He did a lot of things for the youth in the community, and he's done a lot of things for Grambling State. And I think that is the mark and the bar that was set so early on by Mr. Davis. He was very intentional how he spent his time off the field while he was still competing on the field. And I think that is one thing that's really impacted the league to this day. He's definitely someone that we can still look back to and strive to make those same accomplishments on and off the field. And I think, you know, his impact on the league has been felt there as well. The other interesting thing I think is really important, I think, for today's youth is to see that there are so many places you can go within the league after your career. He was one of the 4 finalists for the NFL commissioner job in 1989. That is amazing. I think a lot of times our youth see the sport, the athlete, but don't see past the career where what you do on the field can impact where you can go after off the field. And so I think that's one of the great things that's able to impact the NFL today.
And then when you look at Mr. Willie Davis and look at a very handsome man on the screen, do you think he valued education as being a professional athlete at a high level?
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, I would be remiss as a Graham alum not to give credit to the fact that when Coach Rob went to his mother's house and, you know, as the story goes, she was really concerned about his safety. And Coach Rob said, I will take care of him and he'll be fine. And he was. But he graduated in 1956 with a degree in mathematics. So he was a very intellectual individual and he was on the dean's list. So to be the captain of the football team and to be on the dean's list and to graduate the degree in mathematics is extremely important. But not only that, I think it's really important also to see that in his last year of his professional career, he went and got his master's from the University of Chicago in business administration. So he understood the value of having a education, not just going and attaining different degrees and certificates, he actually put it into practice. And he saw that with that education, he could go even further than what his talents had presented him the ability to do. So that when he was done playing football, he could continue to make strides off the field. And he knew that the proper education, the base of that started at Grambling and then continued on when he got his master's degree.
And then when you're looking at the great savant, Willie Davis, what do you think was the areas of interest of the field that Mr. Davis impacted?
Off the field or on the field?
Off the field. I'm sorry.
Off the field. So I think, as I stated earlier, I think one of the biggest areas was the youth. He poured a lot of time into different programs and making sure that youth understood the importance of having a good education and taking it seriously, not relying just on your talent to get you where you're wanting to go, but to actually make use of that, to go to school, to learn, to apply yourself fully. Don't just be an athlete. Leave your mark in the academics as well. Academics is very important to him. And he really did a lot from youth programs and things of that nature when he was giving back in the community. Another thing is that he was a great entrepreneur and sat on numerous boards in the 80s and 90s and even the early 2000s for some Fortune 500 and 100 companies. And he was able to do that because he had a great entrepreneurial spirit, but he understood the importance of being in a place where you help the intent some of the program really needed. And really knows that we're in situations like he was, that you don't have to be defined by your circumstances. You can rise above them and really have a great impact.
I guess one of the most important questions that I see that Willie Davis really had an impact on so many people. You know, he had a great career with the Green Bay Packers, but what is something you think the youth should value that Willie Davis did? And what can the youth learn from what Willie Davis did?
I think today's youth starting, there's a lot going on, a lot of things that are pulling the attention and the focus of our youth. And they're starting college sometimes a semester earlier. Some of them are foregoing their spring semester in high school to go to college sooner, to get a jump on their desired sport or just to get through college faster, have more time in college. But I think one of the things that I took away and really hope that today's youth will take away as well is you don't have to have it all figured out now. It's okay to know that you want to go to college. It's okay to know that you are talented in your sport. But if you get the opportunity to have an experience in college and to be a college athlete, make the most of it. And I think that is one of the things that I was really encouraged about with Mr. Davis. He was a great high school athlete, obviously. To catch the eye of Coach Robinson and have him come to your house and recruit you means you were doing something well on the football field, right? But it didn't stop there with him. To make the dean's list, to captain the team, to study a major that's not super common. He wasn't afraid to be different. He went with his strengths. He's a numbers guy. And that's where he went. And I think sometimes our youth forget that what you want to do and your vision is important. It doesn't matter if anybody else is doing it either. And he was so good at his craft and so focused that after 2 years in the Army, during that time, if we do want to take a second from a historical standpoint, during that time when we were being drafted at an unfair rate to our white counterparts, to come back and still have the athleticism and the ability to compete at that professional level and to do well, to set records is phenomenal. And that is credited with the way that he viewed not just the game of football, but life and what he wanted to accomplish. So I think, even as a young person, we still need to look at what we want to accomplish in life. and really set ourselves up for that by being focused on the task at hand.
So many great things that you have brought up about Mr. Davis over the last 8-9 minutes, but the thing I'm gonna remember the most of him about is what he did on the field. I remember doing the research on Mr. Davis. I know he's from Texarkana, Arkansas. So I know a lot of people from that area. But most of all, people don't know how great a football player he was. That 1955 Grambling State team was the Black national champions. They went 10-0 that year. But the game that he's going to be remembered was that Orange Blossom Classic when they went down there and beat the powerful Florida A&M team. They had Al Frazier, Lawrence Williams, and the great Willie Gallimore. And then think about Mr. Davis as a defensive end. He was drafted by Cleveland, then went on to Green Bay. But think about watching the films. I remember watching him in 66 and 67 as a little boy, watching the game on the TV in my parents' house. And what I noticed about him being that defensive end, you know, back then football was a little different. His explosiveness was an A+. His base strength was an A+. His instincts were an A+. The mortar as a defensive end was an A+. His pass rushing ability, you can look at the screen right there, was an A+. But when he got to the Packers, think about the era, the Packers from 60 to 68. They won 5 NFL titles, 2 Super Bowls. During that time, Mr. Davis was 5-time Pro Bowler and 5-time first-team All-Pro, and played on a great Packers team from 60 to 68. Lionel Aldridge, Ray Nitschke, Herb Allen, Tom Brown, Willie Wood, Dave Robinson. But you know what? The great Vince Lombardi said this: pound for pound. And from an intelligence standpoint, Willie Davis was my best football player. And that's also on the Packers team that had Bart Starr and the great Paul Hornung. I don't have to say no more about what he did on the playing field.
Correct.
But our final question to you today about the great Willie Davis. As a proud Grambling State alum, what is something that you find encouraging about Mr. Davis' story?
As a fellow alum of Grambling State, I'm really encouraged by the way he lived his life and the intentionality he put behind what he did. He never forgot where he came from. He gave credit to his beginnings, but never forgetting where it started. And I think as an alum, as I go forward, I want to have that same intentionality to remember where this foundation started and how I've been able to go forward in life and what gave me that start. And that start, Grambling State.
If you like the video today, please come and share it. I'd like to give special thanks to Mr. Jeremiah Long for making it happen this morning here on 100 Yards Football. To my business partner out of Brooklyn, New York, Mr. Ronnie Keebler. To my man that's coming up early this evening at 6:30, Mr. Bobby Butler, Florida State finest, first-round pick of the Atlanta Falcons. To the guy who's done a great job for us on Wednesday, the youngest member of 100 Yards Football, I give special thanks to Mr. Logan Landers. To the man with the great voice, Mr. Mark, a.k.a. Bass Denham. And, of course, to a gentleman who brought me Miss Cooper. We all know him and we love him. He's been a tremendous impact over the last month to 100 Yards Football. He has taken me in this platform to dreams I never thought of, and I'm going to be indebted to him till the day I die, Mr. Jim Maryland. What a great individual, man, and believing in 100 Yards Football. And then to our special guest today, beautiful young lady. She put it down. She told you about Willie Davis. Grambling State is in the house. Mrs. Aisha Cooper, thank you. And when I think about Willie Davis, it's only one thing. As a freshman at the University of Arkansas, 1978, when I stepped on campus, and the first song I heard, and I fell in love with this band from Dayton, Ohio, it's All the Way Live, Lakeside. Grambling State in the house. Once again, thank you to Mrs. Aisha Cooper. Y'all be blessed here on 100 100 yards of football. God bless and have a wonderful week.